What's up, hockey fans? It's Two Pad Stack here, and welcome to part three of the my review of the draft. Uh, as I said in my last video, at least in the intro, I'm filming this after I did that. My internet was out for about 36 hours, so that's why it took this video so long to come out. I'm gonna speed through the draft picks a little bit today because there's a lot of news to cover, especially with signings and people going to UFA and stuff like that. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, first off, at number 21, the Columbus Blue Jackets selected Igor Chinnikov. He played 56 games in the MHL. The MHL is basically juniors, at least as far as I know for the KHL. And he's played 12 games in the KHL so far with 7 points, which is pretty impressive. He had 69 points in 56 games in the MHL. He's a right winger. He is I think a forward is exactly what Columbus needed, especially after some stuff that happened today. Although signing Max Domi is a very good thing for them. 2 years at 10 million or 11 million. It's good contract. I think that Max Domi is going to be very well liked in Columbus. I like Max Domi. I think he's a really great player, and I think he just had a bit of a down season this year. So I'm excited to see what he can do in a Columbus jersey. You know what? We're just going to do the other Columbus news as of today. So, Wenberg was bought out, or at least he's been put on waivers for the purpose of being bought out. I think they tried to trade him, but I don't think they could get back what they wanted for him. And excitingly, Kevlenix, number 3 on the goalie depth chart for Columbus, has signed for 2 years. So I think that Kevlenix may not play in Columbus as a goalie if he wants to play in the NHL. He had 1 or 2 games this year, and he was very good in them. But I don't see him breaking through Merzlikins or Korpisalo anytime soon. So yeah, good draft pick by Columbus, and that's the news for them. At number 22, the Washington Capitals selected Hendrix Lapierre from the QMJHL. He played 21 games and got 22 points in those 21 games. He is a center. He fell in the draft pretty far. The reason being he had 3 concussions in 2019. So that's really not good for a developing young player. Now, if he can get past the concussion issues and play at the level that he was playing when he was healthy, Washington could have a huge steal here. But if the concussion issues hurt him later on in the future, then this could be a little bit of a messy pick. At number 23, the Philadelphia Flyers selected Tyson Forrester of the OHL. He is a center. He had 80 points in 62 games. He is Philly's kind of a hard team to judge. They're so inconsistent from year to year. Now, if they could find some consistency this coming year and continue how good they were this past year, then I think that'll help them. I think what really hurt them in the playoffs this year is their depth. And that's not to say that they were bad. It's just their top guys weren't performing, and it was really a lot of their second line who was playing really well. Um, but if they could get some more depth from the third and fourth line, and if Tyson Forrester can come in the year after this one and put up a couple points, I think that'll really be helpful for Philly. At number 24, the Calgary Flames drafted Connor Zary from the WHL. He had 86 points in 57 games. He's a center. I think this is good for Calgary, especially if they're going to trade some of that top 6, right? Calgary, you're gonna? Someone off that top line? Any day now? But Calgary needs some change, and if Connor Zary can come in and eventually be their second or third line center, that could really help Calgary. And if he can score like he did in the WHL as a second line center, he could be invaluable. At number 25, the Colorado Avalanche selected defenseman Justin Barron of the QMJHL. He had 19 points in 35 games, and this season he will be the captain of his team. I think this is a good pickup for Colorado, as if they didn't have enough good defensemen, with Makar and Byram and, just craziness in freaking Colorado. And if the rumors about Taylor Hall are true, then that could be messy for the rest of the league. Because if Taylor Hall signs with Colorado, that would be bad for everyone in the Western Conference and any team from the East playing them that night. Uh, Colorado would be unreal next year with Taylor Hall on their second line. But anyways, Justin Barron, he has the leadership capability. He is a solid defenseman. And if he can convert to the NHL level, Colorado will have a solid defenseman. At number 26, the St. Louis Blues selected Jake Neighbors, who is a left winger from the WHL. He had 70 points in 64 games. He is a physical player. He can be that big, mean player if you need him to be. I think a forward is what St. Louis needs right now, although they may want to draft a defenseman eventually if Pietrangelo leaves. And the only problem that I would have with Jacob Perreault is that he was on Elite Prospects do not draft list. So, uh, or not Jacob, with Jake Neighbors. I think that would be very interesting to see what happens with him. At number 26, the Anaheim Ducks selected Jacob Perreault. He is a right winger from the OHL with 70 points in 57 games. Anaheim needs scoring. They need it. I addressed that already in a previous video. I think that he could be very good at the NHL level. Do I think he could be a first line guy? At this point in the draft, he's probably a second line guy. But if he can be a second liner and score, if he can score 50 points a season, then the Anaheim Ducks got a really good pick. Maybe not soon, but in 4 years when he's in, then yeah. At number 28, the Ottawa Senators selected Ridley Greig. He's a left winger from the WHL. He had 60 points in 56 games. Ottawa getting some more offense out of this draft. Ottawa, if they can get some more picks next year and start making some progress back up the league. And today, Ottawa acquired Eric Goodbranson for a 5th-round pick. So Ottawa has been trying to improve. I think that these 3 picks are really going to help. If Sanderson can be a two-way defenseman who can put the puck in the net when he needs to, but is a can play that defensive side, then I think Ottawa could become a lot better, a lot faster. Although one way to be a lot better faster is if Melnick leaves. At number 29, the Vegas Golden Knights selected Brendan Brisson of the USHL. He had 59 points in 45 games, and he is a center. I think it's good idea for the Golden Knights right now to be drafting forwards because their prospect pool, they have Zach Whitecloud just came in and really emerged in the playoffs as a really, really good defenseman. I did not see Whitecloud make one mistake in the playoffs, honestly. He looks really good. If Nick Hague can come in and be a top 4 defenseman eventually, that'll be great. I think that the Knights have enough defensive prospects as it is right now. If Brendan Brisson can come in and be a center for the Knights, then that will be really, really great. The only thing that the Knights have that some complain about is that they have too many centers. You really can't have too many centers. It is very easy to move a center to the wing if you need to. A winger, it's a lot harder to move a guy who's a natural winger to center than a guy who's a natural center to the wing. So, yeah, I think Brendan Brisson is a really good pickup, and I'm excited to see what he can do. At number 30, the Dallas Stars selected Maverick Bourque, a center from the QMJHL, with 72 points in 51 games. It's going to be really interesting to see how good Maverick Bourque can be at the NHL level. All I'm going to say about that right now is that every time he scores a goal, they are going to play danger zone every single time. And if he becomes a big goal scorer, it's going to be annoying. Speaking of Dallas, Anton Khudobin and Corey Perry are going to be UFAs. So Dallas has not offered them anything. Now, they could always re-sign with Dallas tomorrow, but it's going to be interesting. I know there's some other guys who are going to be UFAs for Dallas, but I just thought that Hudobin and Perry are the most important. Oh, and lastly with Dallas, Tyler Sagan is going to be out for about 4 months. He's going to be getting hip surgery. So anyone criticizing Sagan in the finals and in the conference finals and throughout the playoffs, Sagan was playing with some crazy injuries, man. All the respect to him, but man, he if he's out for 4 months, especially if the season starts, Dallas could be in a little bit of trouble. And lastly, the San Jose Sharks selected Ozzy Weisblatt, right winger from the WHL. He had 70 points in 64 games. I think that this is a good pickup for the Sharks. Right now, the problem with the Sharks is that they are a really flawed team right now. I think Doug Wilson's days there are numbered at this point. That Erik Karlsson contract has really, really crippled them. I know that he put up some points this year, but at this point, he's not the defenseman he was in Ottawa. He cannot skate, and the long term injury that kept him out until the pause was a hand injury. Now, if he can't skate and he can't use his hands, then Erik Karlsson, as we know it, is done. And for $11.5 million for the next 8 years or 7 years at this point, it's going to be tough. But Ozzy Wiesblatt, a right winger for San Jose, they need to inject youth into their lineup. San Jose is interesting. They traded a lot of their forwards out in the past year and a half. A lot of their defensemen, while Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson, they could bounce back offensively. They've never been the strongest defensive defenseman, especially Brent Burns. So, and if he keeps regressing, then San Jose is in a really tough spot. And if their goaltending next year is for real Martin Jones and Devin Dubnyk, oh boy, that's a team that needs a lot of draft picks next year and to make some smart trades. All right, starting off, Lias Anderson was traded to the LA Kings for a second round pick yesterday. Lias Anderson was drafted 7th overall in the 2017 draft, so it just really didn't work out for him in New York. He might work out for him in LA if he can kindle some of the magic that got him drafted at 7th overall in LA, then LA will be instantly win this trade. Next up in Edmonton, Jesse Puljujärvi has signed a 2-year deal in Edmonton to come back to the NHL to play with Edmonton. That top six is going to be scary next year. If Dylan Holloway can come in and play a top six role, your top six is McDavid, Draisaitl, Holloway, Yamamoto, Nugent Hopkins, and Puljujärvi. That is crazy. Their offense is going to be absolutely ridiculous next year. Now, if they can get a guy to defend and not make costly plays, then that'll help them a lot more. Next, Vancouver has qualified Virtanen as an RFA, so Virtanen will be staying in Vancouver. I was concerned that Vancouver would get rid of Virtanen. I know he so far hasn't lived up to his draft billing, but maybe he could just be taking a little bit longer to develop. Imagine next year if he has a big breakout season. I like Jake Virtanen. I think that he's a really good player. But if he can get that scoring touch, which he's been developing over the past couple of years, then he will become invaluable. Next, with the goalie UFA market tomorrow, Crawford, Markstrom, and Corey Schneider are all probably going to be UFAs tomorrow. Corey Schneider, I don't know if he's ever going to get it back, but if there's a team that really is desperate for a backup goalie, Corey Schneider could be the guy. Crawford leaving the Blackhawks is going to look weird. He's been a Blackhawk his whole career. It's going to be really interesting to see if he goes anywhere else. And Markstrom he might sign back in Vancouver. I don't think he does, especially with Vancouver's cap right now, because Pettersson and Demko are up next year. And with Louis Eriksson still on the books, that really sabotages them. So I'm very curious to see where Crawford, Hudobin, and Markstrom go. Next, Justin Williams, the Carolina Hurricanes, has finally hung up the skates. He announced his retirement today. I like Justin Williams. He was on the Kings in 2014 when they won the Stanley Cup. He was on the Hurricanes in 2006 when they won the Cup. So he retires with 2 Stanley Cups to his name. He was a captain for the Hurricanes before this season. I think that I hope he enjoys his retirement, and he probably stays with the Hurricanes organization in some way. But yeah, congratulations to Justin Williams on a great career. Next, Montreal. They signed Josh Anderson for 5 years. I believe it was about 5.5 million a year. So they signed him for a very similar amount that Max Domi got signed for in Columbus at a more term. I think Josh Anderson, as long as he can play healthy next year, and then for the next 5 years, I think that's a pretty good signing for Montreal. I don't think he was worth Domi, but if he can put the puck in the net, lay down some big hits every once in a while, I think that really helps Montreal. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on this a little bit, but the junior leagues are in a little bit of trouble right now. The QMJHL right now is having a big outbreak of the one thing that I don't want to talk about. And the OHL, they're not allowing any body checking this season. So, it's going to be tough for those junior leagues, especially for the players. Um, Best wishes to them on getting drafted this next year. Best wishes on guys who've fallen through the draft and are trying to work their way out through the juniors. Be safe. But yeah, good luck to them. All right, everyone, that's all for this video. I will see you guys tomorrow for Free Agent Frenzy.